Captain Jake Morrison sat at his desk in his small office. The lights on his computer screen blinked red. Someone was trying to call him. He pressed a button, and the face of Commander Alex Stone appeared on the screen. "Jake, we need to talk," Alex said. His face looked serious. "We found something big out here." Jake leaned forward in his chair. "What kind of big?" "The kind that changes everything," Alex replied. "We made contact with aliens, real ones. They call themselves the Zilani." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. In all his years as a ship captain, he had never heard those words before. Sure, people talked about finding aliens someday, but nobody really thought it would happen. "Are they friendly?" Jake asked. "Very friendly," Alex said. "Almost too friendly. That's why I'm calling you. They want to send someone to your ship to learn about humans, a cultural exchange, they call it." Jake rubbed his forehead. His ship, the New Horizon, was a research vessel. They studied planets and stars, not aliens. "Alex, I don't know if we're ready for this." "Nobody is ready for this," Alex said. "But it's happening whether we like it or not. The alien they want to send is young, a female named Lyra. She speaks our language somehow. She's very curious about everything." "How young?" Jake asked. "Hard to say. She looks like she might be in her 20s, but who knows how their aging works. She acts innocent like a child sometimes, but she's smart, Jake. Really smart." Jake stood up and walked to the window of his office. Outside he could see the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were real. It still didn't feel real to him. "What do I need to know about them?" Jake asked. "That's where it gets complicated," Alex said. "They look almost exactly like humans. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But they're different in ways that matter. Their skin has a slight glow to it. They're stronger and faster than us." "And Jake?" "What?" "They don't understand privacy the way we do. Or modesty. Lyra walked around our ship completely naked for the first 2 days. She didn't understand why everyone was staring." Jake felt his face get warm. "You're kidding." "I wish I was. We finally got her to wear clothes, but she keeps asking why. She doesn't understand why humans cover their bodies. On their planet, clothes are just tools. You wear them when you need them for work or weather. Otherwise, you don't." Jake sat back down. This was getting more complicated by the minute. "How many people know about this?" "Just the diplomatic team and now you. Earth Command wants to keep this quiet until we know more. That's why they're sending her to your ship instead of bringing her to Earth. You're far enough out that nobody will ask questions." "When is she coming?" "Tomorrow. I'm bringing her myself." "Jake, I need you to assign someone to be her guide. Someone patient and smart. Someone who won't take advantage of her innocence." Jake thought about his crew. Most of them were good people, but this situation was unlike anything they had ever faced. "I think Ben Clark would be good for this. He's my cultural liaison officer. He's calm and respectful." "Good choice. Ben will need to help her understand human customs without making her feel bad about her own culture. These aliens, Jake, they could be our greatest allies or our worst enemies. How we treat Lyra could decide which one they become." "No pressure," Jake said. Alex smiled for the first time during their talk. "None at all." "Oh, and Jake? Dr. Harper should examine her when she arrives. We need to understand their biology better. But be careful how you ask. Lyra doesn't understand why humans are shy about their bodies being examined." After Alex signed off, Jake sat alone in his office. He needed to call Dr. Lisa Harper and Ben Clark. He needed to prepare his crew, but first, he needed to wrap his head around the fact that aliens were real. He pressed another button on his computer. "Dr. Harper, please come to my office. Bring Ben Clark with you." 10 minutes later, both officers sat across from his desk. Dr. Harper was the ship's doctor and alien life expert. Ben Clark handled cultural issues when they met new human colonies. Today his job description was about to change. "What I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room," Jake said. "We've made contact with an intelligent alien species." Dr. Harper's eyes went wide. Ben leaned forward. "Tomorrow, a young alien female will come aboard our ship," Jake continued. "Her name is Lyra. She's here to learn about human culture. Ben, you're going to be her guide." Sir, I don't know anything about aliens, Ben said. Nobody does, Jake replied. That's why we're going to learn together. Dr. Harper, I need you to examine her and learn everything you can about their biology, but be gentle about it. She comes from a culture where privacy doesn't exist. Dr. Harper nodded slowly. What do they look like? Almost exactly like humans, but they glow slightly, and they're stronger than us. And they don't wear clothes unless they need them for practical reasons. Ben's face turned red. Sir, are you saying? I'm saying this is going to be the most challenging assignment any of us have ever had, Jake said. We need to help her understand our ways without insulting hers. The future of human-alien relations might depend on how well we do this job. Dr. Harper was already taking notes. I'll need to set up a medical bay for her examination. Do we know anything about their physiology? Very little. Commander Stone will brief us more when he arrives. For now, just prepare for something that looks human but isn't. Jake looked at both officers. I'm counting on you two to make this work. If we mess this up, we might be starting the first interstellar war in human history. Ben took a deep breath. When does she arrive? Tomorrow morning. Get some sleep tonight. Tomorrow everything changes. As his officers left, Jake looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, an innocent alien girl was preparing to visit a human ship. She had no idea that her simple desire to learn about humans would test every belief they had about privacy, culture, and what it meant to be civilized. Tomorrow, the real test would begin. Ben Clark stood in the docking bay and tried to calm his nerves. In 5 minutes, he would meet the first alien anyone on his ship had ever seen. Captain Morrison stood next to him, along with Dr. Harper and 3 security officers. The airlock hissed open. Commander Stone stepped through first, followed by the most beautiful and strange person Ben had ever seen. Lyra looked human at first glance. She had long, dark hair and pale skin, but when she moved, her skin seemed to glow softly, like moonlight on water. Her eyes were larger than a human's eyes, and they sparkled with curiosity as she looked around the docking bay. She wore a simple gray jumpsuit that looked too big for her. She kept pulling at the fabric like it bothered her. Captain Morrison, Commander Stone said, "This is Lyra of the Zelani." Lyra stepped forward and smiled. When she spoke, her voice sounded musical. "Greetings, Captain Morrison. I am very excited to learn about human culture." "Welcome aboard the New Horizon," Jake said. "This is Dr. Harper, our medical officer, and Ben Clark, who will be your cultural guide." Lyra's eyes fixed on Ben. "You will teach me about humans?" "I'll try my best," Ben said. Her eyes seemed to look right through him. Commander Stone pulled Jake aside while Dr. Harper began explaining the ship's medical facilities to Lyra. Ben could hear their whispered conversation. "Remember what I told you," Stone said. "She's innocent but not naive. She learns fast. And Jake, she's going to do things that will shock your crew. Try to be patient." Jake nodded. "How long will she stay?" "As long as it takes. Her people are very interested in humans. This could be the beginning of something big." After Stone left, Ben showed Lyra to her quarters. The room was next to his own, with a bed, desk, and small bathroom. Lyra walked around the room, touching everything. "This is where I will sleep?" she asked. "Yes. Do you need anything else?" Lyra picked up the pillow and blanket from the bed. "What are these for?" "The pillow goes under your head when you sleep. The blanket keeps you warm." Lyra looked confused. "But the air temperature is perfect. Why would I need warming?" Ben realized this was going to be harder than he thought. "It's just what humans do. For comfort." "I see," Lyra said, though she clearly didn't see it all. "When do humans sleep?" "Usually at night. The ship runs on a 24-hour cycle. Most people sleep for about 8 hours. I will try this human sleeping," Lyra said. "Thank you, Ben Clark." Ben left her alone and went to his own room. He tried to read reports, but he couldn't stop thinking about Lyra's glowing skin and bright eyes. At midnight, Ben heard his door chime. He opened it and nearly fell backward. Lyra stood in the hallway completely naked. Her skin glowed brighter in the dim hallway lights. She looked perfectly comfortable. "Ben Clark," she said, "I need to ask you about the fabric barriers." Ben's face turned red. He looked anywhere except at her. "Lyra, you need to put clothes on." "Why?" she asked. "The temperature is comfortable." Ben grabbed a robe from his closet and held it out to her without looking. "Please, just put this on." Lyra took the robe but didn't put it on. "I do not understand. Are you ill? Your face has changed color." "I'm not ill," Ben said. "Humans wear clothes all the time, even when sleeping." "But why?" Lyra asked. "Your body is just a body. It is what all humans have." Ben finally looked at her face, trying very hard not to look anywhere else. "Humans believe bodies should be private. We only show our bodies to people we're very close to." Lyra tilted her head. "Are we not close? You are my teacher." "It's different," Ben said. "Please, just trust me. Humans always wear clothes around other people." Lyra put on the robe, though she looked confused. "These sleeping fabric barriers are very strange. They twisted around me while I tried to sleep. Are they supposed to attack humans?" Despite everything, Ben smiled. "No, they're not supposed to attack you. Here, let me show you how to use them." Ben went into her room and showed her how to arrange the sheets and blanket. Lyra watched carefully. "Humans make sleeping very complicated," she said. "We like to be comfortable," Ben explained. "But I was comfortable without the fabric barriers." Ben didn't know how to answer that. The next morning brought new problems. Ben got a call from Dr. Martinez, the ship's engineer. "Ben, you need to get down here," Martinez said. "Your alien friend just walked into the women's shower room." Ben ran to the shower area and found Lyra standing calmly, while 3 female crew members screamed and covered themselves with towels. "Lyra," Ben called. "Come here, please." Lyra walked over to him. She had put her jumpsuit back on, but her hair was wet. "The water cleaning room is very interesting, but the human females made loud noises when I entered." Ben looked at the angry faces of the crew members. "Lyra, humans have separate cleaning areas for males and females." "Why?" Lyra asked. Because we do," Ben said. He was starting to understand why Commander Stone looked tired. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez came over to them. "Ben, she needs to understand our customs. This can't happen again." "I know," Ben said. "Lyra, you can only use the shower room marked women. And you need to understand that humans don't like strangers seeing their bodies." "But I am not a stranger," Lyra said. "I live on this ship now." Ben rubbed his forehead. "It's not about being strangers exactly. It's about privacy." "What is privacy?" Lyra asked. Ben realized he was going to need help. He called Dr. Harper. "Doctor, I need you to help me explain human customs to Lyra." Dr. Harper arrived 20 minutes later with a tablet full of pictures and diagrams. She sat with Lyra in the ship's library. "Lyra," Dr. Harper said, "humans evolved differently than your people. We developed strong feelings about our bodies, being seen by others. It's not logical, but it's part of who we are." Lyra studied the pictures on the tablet. "So humans feel shame about their natural form?" "Not shame exactly," Dr. Harper said. "More like protection. We protect our bodies by covering them." "But you are not protecting them from weather or tools," Lyra said. "The ship is safe." "We're protecting them from other people's eyes," Ben said. Lyra looked at Ben with her large, bright eyes. "Are human eyes dangerous?" Ben felt his face get hot again. "In a way, yes." "I do not understand," Lyra said, "but I will try to follow your customs. Will you teach me which customs are important and which are not?" Ben nodded. "I'll try." Dr. Harper smiled. "Lyra, would you like me to examine you? I'd like to learn about Solani biology." "Of course," Lyra said. "Do you want me to remove these fabric coverings?" Ben quickly left the room as Dr. Harper tried to explain medical privacy to a person who had never heard of it. Later that day, Ben found Lyra in the ship's mess hall. She was wearing her jumpsuit and eating human food with great curiosity. How? Do you like the food? Ben asked, sitting across from her. It is very different from Zilani food, she said. But interesting. Ben Clark, may I ask you something? Of course. Why do humans wear so many layers of fabric? I have counted. Some humans wear 4 different fabric pieces at once. Ben looked down at his uniform, underwear, undershirt, and jacket. Different pieces serve different purposes. What purpose does each piece serve? Ben tried to explain uniforms, underwear, and why humans wore different clothes for different occasions. Lyra listened carefully, but he could see she thought it was all very silly. Humans make life very complicated, she said finally. Maybe, Ben said. But it's how we live. Lyra smiled at him. Then I will learn to live this way too. Will you help me? Ben looked at her innocent face and glowing skin and felt something strange in his chest. Yes, he said. I'll help you. He just hoped he could survive the experience. 3 weeks had passed since Lyra came aboard the New Horizon. Ben watched her walk down the hallway in her new uniform. Dr. Harper had helped her pick out clothes that looked more like what the crew wore. But Lyra still pulled at the fabric, sometimes like it felt strange to her. She was learning human customs, but she asked questions about everything. Why did humans shake hands instead of touching foreheads? Why did they say please and thank you so often? Why did they knock on doors before entering? Ben had started looking forward to her questions. Lyra saw things about human behavior that humans never noticed. She made him think about why people did the things they did. Ben Clark, Lyra said, walking up to him. I have been watching humans in the eating area. The mess hall, Ben corrected. Yes. I have noticed that humans sit in groups, but some humans always sit alone. Why? Ben thought about it. Some people like to be alone sometimes, some people are shy. What is shy? Ben realized he had never tried to explain shyness to someone before. Some humans feel nervous around other humans. They worry about what others think of them. Lyra's eyes went wide. Humans think bad thoughts about other humans? Not bad thoughts exactly, but humans judge each other. They form opinions. About what? About everything. How someone looks, how they act, what they say. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. This is why humans cover their bodies. They fear judgment. Ben felt surprised. I guess that's part of it, yes. Zilani do not judge bodies, Lyra said. Bodies are just bodies. We judge minds and actions. Humans judge minds and actions too, Ben said. But we also judge appearances. That seems inefficient, Lyra said. Ben laughed. A lot of human behavior is inefficient. That afternoon, the ship's alarm rang. Ben heard Captain Morrison's voice over the speakers. All crew to emergency stations. We have an engine problem. Ben ran toward the engine room. When he got there, he found chaos. Engineer Martinez was shouting orders. Smoke was coming from one of the main computers. What happened? Ben asked. Power surge, Martinez said. Something damaged the main control system. We're running on backup power. Ben saw Lyra standing near the damaged computer. She was studying it carefully. Lyra, you should leave, Ben said. This area isn't safe. May I look at this machine? Lyra asked. Martinez wiped sweat from his forehead. We don't have time for alien curiosity right now. Please, Lyra said. Zilani study many types of machines. I may be able to help. Captain Morrison had arrived. Let her look, he said. Lyra moved closer to the damaged computer. Her hands moved over the controls faster than Ben could follow. She seemed to understand the machine without anyone explaining it to her. The energy flow is blocked here, she said, pointing to a specific area. And here. If you redirect power through this pathway, the machine will work again. Martinez looked where she pointed. That's impossible. That pathway can't handle that much power. It can if you reduce power to these secondary systems, Lyra said. Martinez studied her suggestion. That might actually work. 20 minutes later, the engines were running normally again. The crew looked at Lyra with new respect. How did you know how to fix that? Ben asked. Machines follow logic, Lyra said. Human machines and Zilani machines follow similar logic. That evening, Ben found Lyra in the ship's library. She was reading a book about human emotions. Is this book accurate? She asked, showing him the page. Ben looked at the chapter title. Love and Attraction. Mostly accurate, Ben said, feeling his face get warm. It says humans experience physical responses to emotional states. Increased heart rate, higher body temperature, difficulty speaking. Yes, that's true. Lyra looked at him carefully. You experience these responses often when you are near me. Ben felt like his face was on fire. What makes you think that? I have been watching you, Lyra said. Your heart beats faster when I speak to you. Your face changes color. Sometimes you have difficulty finding words. Ben sat down next, to her. Lyra, this is very personal. What is personal? Ben realized he was going to have to explain another human concept. Personal means private. Things about feelings and thoughts that people don't usually share. Why do humans keep thoughts and feelings secret? Because sharing them can be dangerous. People might get hurt. Lyra closed the book. Ben Clark, are my observations causing you pain? Not pain exactly, Ben said, but confusion. I do not wish to cause you confusion, Lyra said. Should I? Stop observing your responses. Ben looked at her innocent face. Lyra, when humans have the physical responses you described, it usually means they're attracted to someone. Attracted? It means they like someone in a special way. More than friendship. Lyra thought about this. Do you like me in a special way? Ben felt his heart pounding. I think I might, but it's complicated. Why is it complicated? Because you're here to learn about human culture. I'm supposed to be your teacher, and because you're not human. Lyra was quiet for a long time. Ben Clark, I have been experiencing new sensations since coming to this ship. What kind of sensations? When I see you, I feel happy. More happy than I feel with other humans. When you explain things to me, I want to listen forever. When you are not near me, I think about you. Ben's heart nearly stopped. Lyra, is this what humans call attraction? Ben didn't know what to say. It might be. The book says humans who are attracted to each other sometimes form pair bonds. Yes, but Lyra, this is very complicated. Why? Ben tried to think of all the reasons. Because we're different species. Because I'm supposed to be your teacher. Because you're still learning about human culture. Lyra stood up. Do these complications make your feelings disappear? No, Ben said quietly. Do they make my feelings disappear? I don't know. Do they? Lyra shook her head. No. They sat in silence for a few minutes. Finally, Lyra spoke again. Ben Clark, will you teach me about human pair bonding? Are you sure you want to learn about that? I want to understand what I am feeling, Lyra said. And I want to understand what you are feeling. Ben took a deep breath. Okay. But we have to be careful. Careful about what? About not moving too fast. About making sure you really understand what these feelings mean. Lyra nodded seriously. I will be careful. Will you? Ben looked at her glowing skin and bright eyes and wondered how he was supposed to be careful about anything. I'll try. Over the next few days, Ben taught Lyra about human relationships. He explained dating, marriage, and commitment. He told her about love and heartbreak. Lyra listened to everything with intense curiosity. Humans make emotional connections very complicated, she said one day. Do Zilani have simple emotional connections? Ben asked. Zilani choose partners based on intellectual compatibility and genetic optimization, Lyra said. Emotions are not considered. That sounds lonely. Lyra looked surprised. What is lonely? Ben realized he was about to explain another human emotion to someone who had never felt it. Lonely is when you want to be close to someone, but you're not. When you feel like no one understands you. Have you felt lonely, Ben Clark? Ben thought about his life before Lyra came aboard. Sometimes. Do you feel lonely now? Ben looked at her beautiful, glowing face. No, not when I'm with you. Lyra smiled. I do not think I have ever felt lonely, but I think I would feel it if you were not here. Ben felt something warm spread through his chest. Lyra, I think you're learning about human emotions very quickly. I have a good teacher, she said. That night, Ben lay in his bed thinking about everything that had happened. Lyra was changing more than just her understanding of human culture. She was changing how he felt about everything. He heard a soft knock on his door. When he opened it, Lyra was standing there in her sleeping clothes, a shirt and pants that Dr. Harper had given her. Ben Clark, she said. I cannot sleep. Why not? I keep thinking about pair bonding and attraction and emotional connections. My mind will not stop. Ben smiled. That's called being excited. Your brain is too active to rest. Is there a cure for this excitement? Time, Ben said, and talking about what you're thinking. May I talk to you? Ben looked down the hallway. It was late and no one was around. Come in, but leave the door open. Why? Because if other people see us alone together late at night, they might get the wrong idea. Lyra sat on his desk chair. What wrong idea? Ben realized he was about to explain yet another human social rule. They might think we're involved romantically. Are we not involved romantically? Ben felt his face get hot again. I don't know. Are we? Lyra looked at him with her bright eyes. I would like to be, but only if you want to be. Ben felt like his heart might explode. Lyra, I want to be, but I need you to be sure you understand what that means. Then teach me, she said simply. Ben looked at her sitting in his room wearing human clothes but still glowing softly in the dim light. He realized that teaching Lyra about human romance was going to be the most important lesson he ever gave. Captain Morrison called Ben to his office 2 weeks later. Ben had been spending more and more time with Lyra, teaching her about human relationships. He wondered if the captain had noticed. Sit down, Ben, Morrison said. I just got word from Earth Command. Lyra's mission is being extended. Ben felt relieved and worried at the same time. For how long? Indefinitely. Her people are very happy with what she's learning. They want her to stay as long as needed. That's good news. Ben, said Morrison, studied his face. Is it? Some of my crew are saying that Lyra is becoming a distraction. Ben felt defensive. She's learning our customs very well. She hasn't caused any major problems in weeks. That's not what I mean, Morrison said. I mean she's affecting the crew's behavior, especially yours. Ben's heart started beating faster. Sir, I'm just doing my job. Are you? Because Lieutenant Rodriguez told me she saw you and Lyra holding hands in the observation deck yesterday. Ben felt his face get hot. I was teaching her about human physical affection. Morrison leaned back in his chair. Ben, I need to ask you something, and I need an honest answer. Are you developing feelings for Lyra? Ben was quiet for a long moment. Yes, sir. And is she developing feelings for you? I think so, sir. Morrison sighed. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Sir, we haven't done anything inappropriate. I'm not worried about inappropriate behavior, Ben. I'm worried about what happens when this mission ends. What happens when Lyra has to go back to her people? Ben hadn't thought about that. I don't know, sir. And what happens to the mission if you two have a relationship that goes wrong? What if she gets hurt? What if you do? Ben realized the captain was right to be worried. What do you want me to do? I want you to think carefully about what you're doing. This isn't just about you and her. This is about the future of human-alien relations. That evening, Ben found Lyra in her room reading another book about human culture. This one was about marriage customs around the world. Learning anything interesting? Ben asked. Humans have many different ways of forming pair bonds, Lyra said. Some cultures allow multiple partners. Some require ceremonies. Some base partnerships on family choices rather than personal choice. Ben sat on her desk chair. What do you think about all these different ways? I think humans are very creative, Lyra said. Zilani have only one way to form partnerships. It seems limited now. Ben was quiet for a moment. Lyra, Captain Morrison talked to me today. About what? About us. About whether we're becoming too close. Lyra looked worried. Are we in trouble? Not trouble exactly. But he's concerned about what might happen. What might happen? Ben tried to explain the captain's concerns. If we have a relationship and something goes wrong, it could affect the mission. It could hurt relations between humans and Zilani. Lyra thought about this. Do you think something will go wrong? I don't know. Relationships can be complicated. Lyra stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars moved slowly past as the ship traveled through space. Ben Clark, may I tell you something? Of course. I have been in communication with my people. Ben felt surprised. You have? I didn't know you could do that. We have mental connections across great distances. I have been reporting on human culture to the Zilani Council. What have you told them? Lyra turned to face him. I have told them that humans are far more complex than we believed, that your emotional connections create bonds stronger than genetic compatibility. What do they think about that? They are very interested. They want to learn more about human emotional intelligence. Ben felt confused. What does that mean for us? It means that my relationship with you is not separate from my mission. It is part of my mission. Ben felt his heart sink. So your feelings for me are just part of your job? Lyra looked hurt. No, Ben Clark. My feelings for you are real, but they are also valuable to my people. They want to understand how human emotional bonds work. I don't understand. Lyra sat next to him on the bed. Zilani partnerships are efficient but not fulfilling. We produce offspring and share resources, but we do not experience joy and companionship. We do not feel excitement when our partner enters a room. We do not miss them when they are gone. And you feel these things with me? Yes. And my people want to understand how to feel them too. Ben felt overwhelmed. So, I'm like a research subject? No, Lyra said firmly. You are much more than that. You are the first being I have ever felt connected to beyond mere compatibility. Ben looked at her glowing face. Lyra, this is all happening very fast. Do you want it to stop happening? Ben thought about it. No, but I'm scared. Scared of what? Scared of hurting you, scared of ruining the mission, scared that what we feel isn't real. Lyra took his hand. Ben Clark, I cannot promise that no one will be hurt. I cannot promise that the mission will not be affected. But I can promise that my feelings are real. How do you know? Because I have learned to recognize the difference between Zilani thinking and human feeling. When I think about you, I do not analyze compatibility or genetic optimization. I simply feel happy. Ben squeezed her hand. I feel happy too. But happiness isn't enough to build a relationship on. What else is needed? Ben tried to think of all the things Dr. Harper's books had said about successful relationships. Trust, communication, shared values, commitment. Do we have these things? Ben looked at her bright eyes. I think we're building them. Then why are you scared? Because I've never felt this way about anyone before, human or otherwise. Lyra smiled. That is what makes it special. The next day, Ben was surprised to get a call from Commander Stone. The diplomatic ship had returned to their sector. Ben, I need to speak with you and Lyra, Stone said. I have news from both Earth and the Zilani homeworld. They met in Captain Morrison's office. Stone looked serious. First, the news from Earth, Stone said. Command is very pleased with Lyra's progress. They want to expand the cultural exchange program. Expand how? Morrison asked. They want to establish a permanent research station where humans and Zilani can work together. They're calling it the Interspecies Cultural Institute. Ben felt excited. That sounds amazing. It is. But there's more. The Zilani have made a specific request. They want Lyra to head the program, and they want her human partner to work with her. Ben felt his heart stop. Her human partner? Stone looked at Ben and Lyra. They know about your relationship. Lyra has been very detailed in her reports. Lyra looked embarrassed. I had to report everything I was learning about human emotions. The Zilani are fascinated by the concept of romantic love, Stone continued. They want to study it more closely. They think it might be the key to improving their own society. Morrison leaned forward. What exactly are they proposing? They want Ben to transfer to the Cultural Institute. He would work with Lyra to develop programs that teach both species about emotional intelligence and relationship building. Ben felt overwhelmed. That would mean leaving the military? Yes. But you'd be pioneering an entirely new field. You'd be helping to shape the future of interspecies cooperation. Ben looked at Lyra. What do you think? I think it would be wonderful, she said, but only if you want to do it. I need time to think about this, Ben said. Stone nodded. You have 1 week to decide. The institute is being built now. If you accept, you and Lyra would be the first residents. After Stone left, Ben walked to the observation deck. Lyra found him there an hour later. Are you angry that I reported our relationship to my people? She asked. No, Ben said. I understand why you had to. I just feel overwhelmed. Do you not want to work with me? Ben turned to face her. I want to work with you, I want to be with you, but this is a huge decision. What concerns you most? Ben thought about it. I'm concerned that we're moving too fast. I'm concerned that we're making decisions based on feelings that are still new. I'm concerned that if we fail, we'll hurt more than just ourselves. Lyra nodded. These are reasonable concerns. But I'm also excited, Ben said. The idea of building something new with you, of helping our species understand each other better, it sounds amazing. What does your heart tell you? Lyra asked. Ben smiled. My heart tells me to take the risk. And your mind? My mind tells me that you're the smartest, most interesting person I've ever met, human or otherwise, and that working with you would be the adventure of a lifetime. Lyra's skin glowed brighter. Then what is your decision? Ben took her hand and looked out at the stars. My decision is that some risks are worth taking. Lyra squeezed his hand. I agree. Ben knew that accepting this assignment would change his life forever. He also knew that meeting Lyra had already changed his life forever. Now they would face the future together, building bridges between two very different worlds. He just hoped they were strong enough to handle what came next. 6 months later, Ben stood on the observation deck of the new Interspecies Cultural Institute. The space station was beautiful, with sections designed for both human and Zilani comfort. Through the large windows, he could see ships from both species docking regularly. Lyra walked up beside him. She now wore a uniform that combined human and Zilani design elements. Her skin still glowed softly, but she had learned to adjust the brightness based on human comfort levels. The morning briefing is ready, she said. We have 12 new human volunteers arriving today. Ben nodded. And how many Zilani? 8. They are very excited to learn about human emotional connections. Ben smiled. It still amazed him how much had changed. The cultural exchange program had grown beyond anyone's expectations. Humans were learning about Zilani logic and efficiency. Zilani were learning about human emotions and creativity. But most importantly, both species were learning to work together. Ben, Lyra said, I received a message from the Zilani Council this morning. Good news or bad news? Very good news. They want to expand the program again. They want to establish institutes like this one in 5 more locations. Ben felt excited. That's incredible. What do we need to do? We need to train more cultural liaisons, both human and Zilani. Ben thought about everything they had learned over the past months. We've come a long way from you walking around naked, haven't we? Lyra laughed. I still think human clothing customs are inefficient. But I understand their purpose now. And what purpose is that? Protection. Not from weather or danger, but from vulnerability. Humans use clothing to control how much of themselves they share with others. Ben was impressed. That's a very good way to put it. I have learned much about human psychology, Lyra said. But I have also learned that some human customs are worth adopting. Like what? Lyra smiled. Like privacy. I now understand why humans need time alone with their thoughts. It helps them process emotions more clearly. Ben had noticed that Lyra had started spending time alone in her quarters each evening. At first, he had worried that something was wrong, but she had explained that she was learning to enjoy solitude the way humans did. What else have you learned? Ben asked. I have learned that physical affection has meaning beyond reproductive purposes. When you hold my hand, it creates a connection that goes deeper than touch. Ben took her hand as she spoke. And what have you taught your people about that? I have taught them that emotional bonds make partnerships stronger, not weaker. That caring about someone's happiness makes you want to work harder for the relationship. Ben felt proud of how much Lyra had grown. The Zilani who come here now seem different from when you first arrived. They are more open to new experiences, more curious about their own emotions. Ben had noticed that too. The first Zilani visitors had been stiff and formal, but recent arrivals seemed more relaxed, more willing to laugh and ask questions. And the humans? Lyra asked. They're learning to be more logical about their decisions, less driven by emotion alone. It was true. The human participants in the program were becoming better at balancing feelings with practical thinking. They were learning from Zilani efficiency while keeping their emotional intelligence. Dr. Harper approached them. She had transferred to the Institute 3 months earlier to study the medical aspects of interspecies cooperation. Ben, Lyra, we have a situation, she said. What kind of situation? Ben asked. A good one. We just received a request from the Centauri colony. They want to host a joint human-Zilani research team. Ben felt excited. For what kind of research? Terraforming. The humans have the creativity and adaptability. The Zilani have the technical knowledge and efficiency. Together, they might be able to make planets habitable faster than either species could alone. Lyra's eyes lit up. This is what we hoped would happen. It gets better, Dr. Harper said. They specifically requested that you two lead the advance team. Ben felt his heart start beating faster. Lead a terraforming expedition? You would establish the first joint human-Zilani colony. You would set the protocols for how our species work together on long-term projects. Ben looked at Lyra. What do you think? I think it sounds like the next step in our mission, she said. Dr. Harper smiled. There's one more thing. The project timeline is 50 years. Ben felt overwhelmed. 50 years? Long-term colonization requires long-term commitment, Dr. Harper said. The question is, are you two ready for that level of partnership? Ben and Lyra looked at each other. They had been together for less than a year, but it felt like a lifetime. They had learned each other's languages, customs, and ways of thinking. They had built something that neither of their species had ever seen before. Can we have some time to discuss it? Ben asked. Of course, but I need an answer by tomorrow. After Dr. Harper left, Ben and Lyra walked to their shared quarters. Living together had been another learning experience. They had had to negotiate, everything from sleeping arrangements to mealtimes to personal space, but they had made it work. 50 years, Ben said, sitting on their couch. 50 years, Lyra agreed, sitting next to him. That's a lifetime commitment. For humans, perhaps. Zilani live longer than humans. For me, 50 years is just the beginning of a long life. Thought about that. What happens after 50 years? What happens when I get old and you don't? Lyra took his hand. I do not know, but I know that I want to spend those 50 years with you. Even if they're difficult? Even if the colony mission fails? Especially if they're difficult, Lyra said. That is when partnerships matter most. Ben looked at her glowing face. You've really learned human emotional thinking, haven't you? I have learned that love is not just a feeling. It is a choice that you make every day. Ben felt his heart fill with warmth. When did you learn that? From watching you. Every day you choose to be patient with me. You choose to help me understand human culture. You choose to care about my happiness. And you choose to share your world with me. You choose to trust me with your people's secrets. Lyra smiled. We choose each other. Ben thought about everything that had led to this moment. A year ago, he had been a simple cultural officer on a research ship. Now he was being asked to help establish the first joint colony between two species. Lyra, if we do this, there's no going back. We'll be committed to each other and to this mission for the rest of my life. Are you afraid of that commitment? Ben thought about it honestly. A little, but I'm more afraid of not taking this chance. What if we fail? Then we fail together. But what if we succeed? Lyra's skin glowed brighter. Then we will have created something that has never existed before. Ben stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see ships from both species working together. Human and Zelani crews were building something new. You know what I think? He said. What? I think we've already succeeded. We've already created something that never existed before. Lyra joined him at the window. A human-Zelani partnership? More than that. We've created a new way of being together. We've shown that two very different people can understand each other completely. And now we have the chance to teach others how to do the same thing. Ben put his arm around her. On a whole new world. With new challenges and new discoveries. Ben felt excitement building in his chest. Lyra, I want to do this. I want to spend 50 years building a colony with you. Lyra leaned against him. Even though it will be difficult? Because it will be difficult. Because we'll have to solve problems that no one has ever solved before. And because we work well together. Ben thought about all the challenges they had already overcome. Cultural misunderstandings, communication problems, the pressure of representing their entire species. They had handled it all. We do work well together, he said. The next morning they gave Dr. Harper their answer. We accept the mission, Ben said. Dr. Harper smiled. I was hoping you would say that. When do we leave? Lyra asked. In 6 months. That will give you time to finish training the new institute staff and prepare for long-term colonization. Ben felt nervous and excited at the same time. What kind of preparation? Advanced terraforming techniques, long-term resource management, interspecies conflict resolution, emergency medical training for both species. The list is long. Lyra nodded. We will be ready. 6 months later, Ben and Lyra stood in the docking bay of their new ship, the Unity. The ship was designed for long-term missions, with facilities for both human and Zelani crew members. Captain Morrison had come to see them off. I can't believe my cultural officer is now heading the most important mission in human history, he said. Ben smiled. I can't believe it either. Morrison looked at Lyra. Take care of him out there. I will, Lyra said. And he will take care of me. As their ship left the station, Ben and Lyra stood together on the bridge. They were heading toward a planet that would become the first joint human-Zelani colony. Any regrets? Ben asked. Lyra thought about it. I regret that it took so long for our species to meet. Any fears? Only one. That we will not live long enough to see all the wonderful things our peoples will create together. Ben took her hand as they watched the stars ahead of them. Then we'd better make the most of the time we have. Agreed, Lyra said. Behind them, the Unity's mixed crew of humans and Zelani worked together to prepare for the greatest adventure either species had ever